Hiding logos within businesses isn't anything new. A logo with Amazon has the A to Z with the smile, you know, A to Z in the beginning. Toyota has every letter of their name in their actual logo. You can see it, okay? Continental hides a tire, and the Bronx Zoo has New York City skyline as the negative space in between the giraffe's legs, which, by the way, if you haven't seen a baby giraffe before, it is the most adorable thing in the world. I want one very badly, okay? How neat is that? But there's another logo or icon or mascot, all right, in the automotive scene that nearly everyone knows of, but doesn't know why, all right? I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today's episode of we're figuring out a series name, all right? I just hope you enjoy the intro of what you're about to watch. We're gonna be talking about how that thick-looking, glazer-eating Michelin Man actually came to be. I'm really excited. And if you're just jumping into this video, hello, don't forget to subscribe so we can keep making videos like this. And if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. Taking us back like the eyewitness opening, the Michelin Man has quite the history, and it technically did a great job at being a mascot because it's one of the few things that are actually still alive, even after over 120 years. At the core, okay, the aim of a logo or icon like this is to increase brand recognition and make it immediately recognizable to people like you and people like me. Now look at him. Tell me that ain't true. But the start of this icon was conceptualized nearly half a decade before the design even hit the parchment. Edouard and Andrew, I'm gonna say it wrong because I got a Wisconsin accent, of Clermont-Ferrand, the then brothers of Michelin, were attending the Lyon Universal Exposition in 1894 and noticed a pile of bicycle tires that resembled somewhat of a human. Not kidding, this is true, all right? According to the history book, Edward said to his brother, "With arms and legs it would make a man. Brother, hey brother. Look, I'm assuming that's how it is because I don't know any conversation between two brothers that would have been that short. The initial conversation, though, is what led the brothers to having its first conception of the mascot in 1898 by a man named O'Gallop, the alias of Marius Roussillon. Okay, to start, O'Gallop used old design works that were initially rejected to present the idea of the Michelin mascot, using a previous Munich brewery poster to start. It had a king standing and making a toast, all right? But instead of a king, it was the Michelin Man, an oddly large, wide character that was a literally stack of tires with two eyes and a mouth. The poster would then be labeled, "Nunc est bibidem." Now is the time for drinking. That's what it meant, except it was Michelin Man. It wasn't a drunk king or anything like that. It came from an ode from the Roman lyric poet Horace of 25 BCE. We are going all the way back. The poster would then carry on to say, "A votre santé, le pneu Michelin boit le obstacle," which roughly translates to, that is to say, here to your health. The Michelin tire drinks up obstacles. And instead of beer, the character would be holding road hazards, common to the French roads at the time. It was actually a pretty neat poster, and it was also a little bit scary. Surrounded by its competition, the poster actually made quite the waves and didn't shy away from controversy. It was a good marketing ploy, especially in the late 1800s, while Michelin was trying to drive additional demand for tires of all kinds. This singular poster would be used for over 15 years and posted anywhere it possibly could be to begin building the brand recognition of Michelin. Because back then, tires weren't as needed as they were now. And that's, I mean, just think about it. Technical information, Genie of Mobility, Michelin guides, all of it. Wherever Michelin was, the Michelin tire mascot was there. And it added on to the brand of what Michelin wanted to be. But once they decided to move forward, the logo, the mascot, the guy, the poofy guy, all right, they did have to name it. How do you name a pile of tires that looks a little bit like the antagonist from a Marvel comic? It's kind of an important thing to do, but it's like owning a dog and then calling it DOG. You just don't do that, right? You gotta have a name. People say the idea came from two different sources, one of which, and it's probably more likely, would be when Michelin commissioned a man pen named Karnowski, or Maurice Edmond, to actually write about bibidum in a newspaper column. all right? And that was ultimately what came to be the name of the Michelin Man. In 1922, Michelin then ran a contest to name the character in the United States. Both of these stories are boring, but likely more factual, all right? Welcome to history, that's just usually how it goes. This isn't an LA movie, this is just me telling you what happened. However, word on the proverbial street at the time was that the Michelin brothers had already determined the name to be Bibendum or Bibendum back in 1898 or 1899 when Leon Theory, a racer who's taking place in the Amsterdam, Paris race, yelled to Andre at the end of the race, "Voila Bibendum! Vive Bibendum." That story is a movie, all right? Which ultimately stuck with the brother to name the character Bibendum. Once the Michelin Man was launched, the man was very specifically targeting a wealthy group of people. We're gonna avoid saying the B word anymore because I just can't do it anymore. The logo would tout cigars, be drinking champagne, and telling the world it eats up road hazards, all right? It was a pretty classy and upscale person, big mascot to be doing that. And during that time, it worked great because automobiles catered to the wealthy back then. But Michelin wouldn't keep the brand design very long, the old, the upscale, the classy version, as the times would inevitably change. And when the time did change, so did the figurehead. As Michelin entered the international sales, it would get rid of the old monocle-looking eyeglass and the cigars, so the brand could be seen as more of a normal tire company versus a company for only the elite. The cufflinks, the signet ring, and other class accessories on the mascot of the Michelin Man would ultimately disappear as we got into the mid-20th century. And the design of Bibendum of the Michelin Man would remain white, even with the introduction of carbon black preservatives for tires to keep their heritage to the 19th century design and perceived aging of the company. Remember, its goal was to look like it's been established forever, even though, guess what? Spoiler alert, it hadn't, all right? As the decades passed, variations of the Michelin Man continued to be showcased in the world to allow people to associate this very round man as a Michelin character, ever evolving the actual design of this logo into what the market needed to see at the time. Michelin Man would stay around for as long as you could possibly imagine, and even though it entered into different areas in the 20th century, it always had something that kept it grounded to the area that it was being introduced in. And the adjustments of what they did to the Michelin Man over the course of every year pretty much in every different region is what allowed to keep Michelin relevant with the mascot. You have to remember, like, we're talking over 115 years ago. In 1905, the Michelin Man had a helmet and carried a shield to illustrate them conquering their new London sales office. In 1907, it was a giant for the factory launch in Milltown, New Jersey to show how stoic and strong and big Michelin could be perceived as in the United States. In the 1910s, he became a teacher for all illustrations surrounding pamphlets called Michelin Mondays, okay, in France. The mascot became dynamic through the artists of the time because guess what? You couldn't really be an artist back then at a company. It just wasn't real. For certain locations though, Bibendum or the Michelin Man would be dressed as whatever it needed to be in the years and the places that it was introduced in. And as the years progressed, the design element became the Michelin Man constantly just running. It was up until the 21st century that the Michelin Man would slow down the feature and illustrations here in the United States and soften the look of the character to what we now know him to look at. He's really scary in the past though, okay? Like if you look at some of the old black and white, like flip book, it was a scary man, okay? But Michelin Man, it was in popular culture, it was in comic books, guest appearances, animated shorts, and more, okay? The Michelin Man himself has edged in and out of the company's history depending on when it needed to be, but it was always a back pocket pick for the company. Nowadays, he's a little less scary, not a little monstrous, doesn't look like the guy from Ghostbusters. I actually got nightmares when I watched Ghostbusters when I was a kid. Nowadays, though, he's a little bit more normal. He protects you from the rain and the commercials, and he's always got a smiley face. Instead of being a drunk Santa Claus, he's more like a holly jolly Santa Claus without the red cheeks. He's just So while the face is well known these days to be directly associated with Michelin, the near 122-year-old figure was something that is likely one of Michelin's greatest, honestly greatest success stories from a marketing perspective. It's one of the best things that they could have done. The Michelin Man went from a literal stack of tires to a poster to a figurehead in the company's branding in under a decade. It follows the company as it entered international sales, used it for branding its propositions, okay? And adjusted what it looked like as it got older. It ultimately ended up winning the best brand icon of all time. It won Icon of the Millennium by advertising on Week. The secret behind the Michelin Man icon is one that is nothing more than consistency, dedication, and a craft around a design that not many other companies would probably have to this day. It's just not something that we know and hold dear to us. In the days of just consistent, rapid intake, to see something like this stay around for so long is pretty unheard of. It's not something many other companies could ever copy and keep doing for so long. The character was emotive, it was relevant, yet distinctive in its own way. And while the 21st century is getting awfully used to changing out design elements of a brand pretty much every single quarter, this 122-year-old logo is one that absolutely has no plans of going away. But hey, all right, did you know that? All right, let us know in the comment section below if you want us to dive another secret besides the KOTA secret obsession with Taco Ding Dong. Let us know below. And if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. So let us know what you want us to talk about next. And no, I don't want the comment to be my will to live, okay? I care about you. Build a car, have fun, smile, have some sugar. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and we will see you later. Peace.